All right. Hello, dear listeners, viewers. Welcome to the Jazz Guitar Hour at UIS. Um, a little frantic here on the setup, but yeah, thanks for being here. I'm here every Wednesday around 6 o'clock, 6:02 today, to talk about jazz and to talk about guitar. I open up with a tune called Medo de Amar, something like Being Afraid of Love. It's a song by Vinicius de Moraes, who is mostly well known as a lyricist. He wrote the song that you may have heard of called The Girl from Ipanema, and many others, many other collaborations with Jobim. But he also, this one, Medo de Amar, he composed the music as well. He has a few others, maybe, yeah, he has a few others that he composed music as well. So Vinicius de Moraes. Yeah, I don't, so feel free to say if there's people watching. Hopefully, whatever you wanna You want to, if you have topics in mind, if whatever comes up from what I'm playing. I have a little bit of a topic today in mind to talk about chord extensions. Doesn't it sound fantastic? Especially if you're not a musician. So, just in case there are people who are not musicians listening, I'm gonna play one more song and yeah, and then talk about chord extensions. Let's see. I'll play a jazz standard. Aha, a classic, a standard. A beautiful tune, Stella by Starlight. One of those that are so standard that you don't even have to mention the composer. Uh, because I forgot. Stella, Victor Young? I don't know. One of those composers of standards. Um, so yeah, I said I was gonna talk about chord extensions. Yeah. So just the way I think about chord extensions, which came from mostly from the two things: teachers that I studied with, and people that I heard playing. Right? You can't escape that. Where else could you learn? From your friends, but you're listening to them, so that falls into the same category of people that you've heard. But then I was playing single lines, right? So is it paradoxical? No, is it contradictory if I say that I'm gonna talk about extensions and I start playing single lines? No, because that's a concept that I think it makes sense to think about. Maybe on the piano is probably it's easier to see the what I'm talking about, like in terms of seeing scales and chords as the same thing. Basically, that's what I'm trying to get at. So I'm not gonna say that it's easier to see harmony on the piano because I don't really know the notes on the piano, but I do on the guitar. So I hear people saying that, oh, and piano is great because it's very visual. Yes, after you learn the notes, I agree. But for me, the guitar is very visual, if that makes sense. After you learn the notes, is okay. Microphone, let's cooperate. Cool. So what else? Extensions. So what did I say about seeing scales and chords as the same thing? It's so let's go to the chords of Stella by Starlight. The way it's written on the real book, it's mostly based off of the Miles Davis recording. Miles recorded many times, but starting with because that's controversial as well. Like it could the Frank Sinatra like starts with a five diminished. What does he do? If we're in that case, with a big diminished chord. Who would be? Who would you be? Yeah, maybe D diminished or F diminished. Yeah, but the chords that most jam session chords. So the E half diminished. The point that I'm trying to make about seeing chords and single lines and chords as the same thing. Um, it's basically picking a scale that you're gonna use for in this case. I'm thinking here Locrian half diminished is the 7th degree of a major scale, but let's do the thing of adding the natural 9, right? So the scale that fits that, it's the 1, 2, 3, the 7th mode of the melodic minor. That case, G melodic minor. See how the sounds match? Man, every week there's a reason to say something that Joe Pass said. So I'm gonna say something like a Joe Pass exercise that he said. At first, he was saying how he does not like practicing scales, just playing scales. But then he shows that he actually did, and the way he shows is like playing a chord, and then playing a scale that corresponds, or just like sounds that correspond to that chord within the range of the chord that he's playing. So he plays. Alright. So what I'm gonna be talking about today, it's assuming that you know your scales pretty well. Like major scales and at least the melodic minor. Make sure those are like you. Make sure you know them in all keys and everywhere in the fretboard. So Yeah. So the chord, the half diminished chord normally has four notes, correct? Yes. Thank you for the feedback. Four notes: one, two, three, four. The root, minor third, diminished five, and minor seven. Four. And the scale has seven notes. So if we are all mathematicians, geniuses, four. Which in order to get to seven, we need three more notes, which happen to be, if you keep going in to the scale in thirds, it happens to be the 9, the 11th, and the flat 13th. So those three notes that I just mentioned, the 9, the 11, and the flat 13, are available extensions. Isn't that beautiful? So that means now it sounds like understanding the theory of it. It's pretty simple, and playing it in order, like, it gets to be it gets a little bit more complicated, I guess. Not really. Like to find those sounds, once you understand your available notes, then you gotta find them on the fretboard. It's not that complicated. Some people do it better than others, but it's not that complicated. Is it clear? Hope so. So the idea here, I'm playing an E half diminished, and I'm thinking of the notes of the seven notes of the G melodic minor scale. And let me advert in terms of speaking of knowing your scales. Someday I'm going to write a book, talk about the vacuum cleaner approach. It's going to be a 2-pages book. What is the vacuum cleaner, Matt? I talk to all my students know about it. I don't know if I talked about it here, but it's always a good chance. The vacuum cleaner method. I'm playing the G melodic minor scale. See, I'm starting on whatever I'm starting, like vacuum your room. The camera is a little wobbly. Stay there. So I'm starting here. I'm going up, and then I'm going to the next. Just imagine you're cleaning, vacuum cleaning. You could go randomly, correct? Like, yeah, you could, but the chances of you missing a few spots are huge, right? But if you go all the way, like one direction, then go to the next position or the next note, whatever, go up like that, then go down the next. Oops. Make sense? So this is the vacuum cleaner approach to scales. So, man, I'm spending a lot of time in this half diminished chord, but I guess that's it. So you have the notes, the chord tones. I was saying that finding the notes on the fretboard. So see, here's the regular half diminished. Also important to learn your shapes, like this guy here. Find the shapes that you like in different positions. So alright, so let's move on. See, so for the next chord, A7, I'm gonna think altered. A7 altered. So that means we're gonna be thinking of the B flat melodic minor. So what are the notes on oh, now it gets a little funny. The notes on the chord are A, then the major third, and let's say the sharp 5 and the 7. So those are the 4 notes on the chord. And 4, we're gonna add those other 3 that we need to make the entire scale, because the entire scale can work as available notes for the chord. The next extra notes will be the flat 9, the flat 9, the sharp 9 as well. Who else? And the sharp 11 or flat 5. And that's the entire scale. Thinking of the Joe Pass thing of playing a chord and then a scale that relates within the range that you just played. So isn't it cool? You can like, oops. See, let me see now that I messed it up. Playing some wrong notes on purpose to see if it's better if you hear the notes that actually are in the scale. Yeah, it makes more sense. Okay. By the end of the hour, I'll make peace with this thing. It's gonna keep going down. That's fine. So, all right, we got 2 chords. And then we're going to think the same way with every chord on the song. You can even write down, if you want, if it's easier. But basically the idea that I'm speaking about here is to think of 7 available chords, so 7 available tones for each chord. So, Locrian natural 9. So you have all these beautiful notes available. And you have to find your shapes, right? I found already a few. Of course, there's many. It's never ending. All those sounds here. I'm only playing those 7 notes that I talked about. Now for A, those 2 are cool because you can play the open string and just so you have all these available sounds. And then for C minor, I'm thinking C minor Dorian. See a very handy shape with using fourths, right? The so what? Is it the so what? Not really the so what, is this one here. So all these people here work for a C minor, right? And I'm only using the notes in the D, the C minor Dorian mode. And then F7, so back, C minor, F7. Then you could think Mixolydian, I guess, then it would be the same sounds as D, as, I keep saying D, it's the same sound as C Dorian or F Mixolydian. They're the same people. We could also do, to spice it up a little bit, you can say F7, the one with the little alteration with the Mixolydian sharp 4 or Lydian dominant. In that case, you would be thinking of the C melodic minor scale. The Joe Pass. Yep, and then this F becomes minor. Yeah, I'm gonna drink some water here. So yeah, basically you're gonna do the same thing for every chord. So now that where is that gonna lead? That's gonna lead to voice leading, huh? It's all connected. because then you can move from one chord to the. Although this song Stella by Starlight it moves a lot, right? It has lots of different chords, so it's easy to make it sound disruptive. Like, I'll try to make it sound bad. See, I can make it sound pretty bad. Uh, because I'm jumping around. I was not thinking of the voice of how to connect one chord to the other. But now, if you have those 7 notes available per each chord, then let's say to use some parameters. For example, try to not to move the notes too much, like so, keeping the top note. Now we have to move because keep it constant as much as possible. So so that was a little better, right? A little more connected. Um, so yeah, and you can also create challenges for yourself. Not only keep the same note as much as possible, but like let's say move up. Like, let's see. That's enough. Now back. It's probably enough as well. But to give like a sense of direction to wherever you're going. And in the end of the day, after you practice, like after you put yourself in a box and you practice with limited parameters, then when you take these parameters out, you're actually free. You know, like it's always usually make analogies with language. Let's say if you try to do an entire phrase only using, or a bunch of entire phrases only starting with the word P, you know, I'm not going to try it, but you try it. And, after you do that for like 2 minutes, you're going to be so tired. But then when you don't have that burden, you don't have that limitation, you're going to be freer and happier. So it's kind of worthwhile. It's like suffering. Then when you're not suffering, you're happy. But I mean, we already have enough reasons in the world to suffer, so we shouldn't try to suffer. So the philosophical side of the thing, it's getting a little too deep. How about play another song, trying to use those concepts? That sounds fantastic. Nobody disagreed. So let's see. What would be a good song? I mean, you can apply this concept to anything. And I said to think of 7 notes for each chord, right? But you can use even more, I remember one time, we didn't go deep into that, but like my professor, Larry Gray, shout out Larry, he told me, like we didn't explore that too much, but like, for example, for a major chord, right? We usually playing B flat major, so those are the 4 chord tones, and then the three available the three extensions, meaning the 9, sharp 11, 13. And then, so how many notes we played? 7. But then going next level, thinking there are 12 notes, right, on the on our system here. So why not use all of them? And some crazy people do. So it's like, and it's funny because especially if you're going on the upper register, it doesn't really hurt, you know. Like, check it out. What will be the next? Oh, that's it. You know. But especially like the flat 9 on a major chord, it can be really, especially if you're looking, if you're like that. It sounded okay. Don't lie to me. I know you liked it. So, like, and that's one thing that Joe Henderson, tenor saxophone player, that's one person that jumps to mind that like he does that a lot. Especially, it's like one really clear example. His recording of "Lush Life," the Billy Strayhorn tune. Oh, that's what I'm gonna play now. Then, perfect. Uh, I think, if I'm not really mistaken, he plays a solo version on the album "Lush Life," and yeah, it's solo. But then you can find on the YouTubes, you can find him playing duo with Herbie Hancock, an okay guy who knows a little bit about harmony, and he does that a lot. Of this thing of playing, like, he's playing a D flat major chord, and but you hear him playing hitting a D. Listen, especially in the higher register. You know, it's totally doable. And the other weird notes available. Let's go back to B flat to the. I was playing. It's actually just the notes of the major. I talked about using 7 notes, right, in the scale, which is already a lots of options. But now, if you want to go next level, go nuts, and play all 12 notes, the 5 missing notes would be the 5 other notes that you haven't played, which happens to be, just a shortcut, happens to be the major pentatonic a half step up. So if you're playing B flat major 7, the other weird notes would be a B natural, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those 5 notes. See, if you want to be really shocking, that's like as shocking as it gets, right? But it's kind of cool. It had like the sharp 9, the sharp 5, which is not even that crazy. I used that on when I was playing my little modes of the melodic minor. They're cool. So I said, yeah, let's play. I'm gonna play Lush Life. Yes, Deep Sounds, Lush Life by Billy Strayhorn. Lots of chords. My brain is fried. But it's cool. Good exercise. So, and what I just mentioned, see, it's all. I feel like I'm making sense for like 2 minutes, which is fantastic. Um, this final chord here, I use that every time that I have a chance. I use this chord here, like a D flat major. Oh, maybe if yeah, I'll be like this. D flat major 7 for 9. No, just a D flat major 7 without a 9. But this little shape here, but then you put your bass note on the on the G sharp. See, that's one thing. Watching one of those old Joe Pass tapes that I used to have, like VHFs, I used to rent from like music stores that had VHSs. I remember Or to Burn from a friend, Pezinho, who used to be the king of piracy in Uberaba. So anywho, um, Joe Pass would be talking about rhythm changes, and he it was kind of hard. It seemed to be, at least doing on those tapes. I didn't know him personally, unfortunately, but he seems really like having a hard time saying the names of the chords. So that's the thing. Instead of copying the way Joe Pass plays beautifully, one thing that he influenced me in on is not be able to say the names of the notes. But back to the Lush Live ending chord here. That's a chord with 6 notes. We have 6 strings, so why not play 6 notes? I play this D flat that you all know, major 3rd, and major 7, and then put the bass over the 5. Why not? But then we have those 2 open strings here, kind of, and I was using the open strings on the D7, right? Which is way less shocking because it's like the B string is a 13 of the D7, and the E is just a 9. So the 9 and the 13, totally acceptable chords in society. If you play that chord on a bus, everybody will be cool. Now, this one here, if you play that on the bus, some people may get mad. Why? Because they know that you're playing. Yeah, that's the playing the major seven and also playing the minor seven next to each other. So that could be illegal in some states. Maybe in Virginia that's illegal. I don't know. But in Illinois it's okay. And then we can also play the other open string, which happens to be the minor third or the sharp nine. So it's very colorful chord. I like it. Yeah. What else? Yeah, I did this little introduction here a few years ago, and I messed it up for a change. Oh yeah, I meant to. I didn't. It really doesn't matter. That's what I meant to play first to save those guys here, like doom, with all the major chords with sharp fives. That's the sound that if you hear that version, that Joe Henderson duo with Herbie Hancock. Herbie plays those chords. Now I don't know if I heard it first and then came up with my version, or if I came up with it. Doesn't really matter. Herbie wins. But some cool movements. And then this. This is a mistake. This is right. I think I came up with this just, I don't even know yeah, it's just like a dominant sharp 11, I guess. Yeah, but I was definitely thinking of the voice leading, more than anything. Let's play another song. Okay. Uh, Wave. Antonio AC Jobin. Antonio Carlos Jobim. I think I found my favorite key for that. E. Can slam that open E. Keep that ringing for the rest of your life. All right. So it's okay to recycle ideas, right? So I'm playing. I started this thing. It's a podcast ish. I think we call it a podcast. It's a YouTube thing. Um, I opened it today with Medo de Amar, the Vinicius de Moraes songs. And why did I do that? Because I was just recording for a friend before. I was recording that song. So that's why. And he ends his arrangement with a little Round Midnight quote. Maybe he does it major. Oh, the tune is in E major. Ah, and my theory of adding the my Joe Henderson borrowing works really nicely here. I mean, every time you have a pedal, a bass pedal, you can do whatever you want on top. Don't quote me on that if something goes wrong. But check it out. See, this is a normal voicing for what is normal. Everything is normal. But this is a common voicing for E major, right? With the who are you? The 9, the 5, major 7, and the third on top. But if you move that bad guy, not the Billie Eilish bad guy, this bad guy, just like this, now you have the third normal, the who are you? 13, great, and then you have the flat 9 here, and the sharp 11 on top. And once again, I know you may be thinking, oh yeah, I'm thinking that it doesn't sound good. Just to be contradictory, but it's pretty okay, right? Come on. If you say like, oh, I'm gonna add the flat 9 on a major chord, that sounds bad. But depending on where you put it, it could sound good. How about this? Even this could sound good. Anyways, thank you for joining me on this weekly thing. I'm kind of training myself to. I don't know if if it makes sense. Training myself to do presentations. Sometimes I have been doing quite a few for universities around the states. Usually where I have friends, so I reach out and say, "Hey, can I do a clinic in your school?" And some of them they say yes. But I mean, having people interacting, it's a lot easier. So this just talking to and I'm not even seeing myself like I'm looking at the studio cam to see if anything pops up on the chat, but pretty quiet, which is okay. All right, so but yeah, I'll be here again next Wednesday, come rain or come shine. I gotta relearn that song, so every time I say it, I can play it. Like I like saying what's new, and then I play what's new. We'll close it with what's new. How is the word treating you? And yeah, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. All right. Thank you. And hey, I gotta ask you a question. HX5D said thanks, Jose. Thank you. Is it Bill Kirby? I don't know, cause you I've seen you on my other thing, the House Trio thing, but it's a mystery name, right? How can you H ask if you're still there? I think it's Bill Kirby. If yes, cool. If not, cool as well. I'll see you next time, irregardless. Bye bye.